What's going on, Rogue Tier enthusiasts, and welcome back to the channel. And I hope I'm gonna make some of you happy, because today I got the long awaited and asked for update on the Goblin Biker deck I did a while back. I know it's long overdue, but I've been working and tweaking this build quite a lot lately, and hopefully I'll make some of you really happy, because I got some secret spices and techs in there. And without said, let's get to know deck profile. Starting off with one Gone Wild, amazing support for this deck. It is indeed a really good starter, but I would only play it at one because it conflicts with Terratrope and Tour Guide. And you know, you only need one really, because as soon as he hits the grave, that's his effect, and it can be resummoned and reattached and all that. Because funny enough, Big Bonga doesn't only sucks your opponent's monsters, but it can suck your own. So after you summon Gone Wild or something like a Sploder, you can then use the effect of Gabonga to attach the Gone Wild to it, and then detach it in your opponent's turn to get that extra interruption. But yeah, it's just there. It's a really good card, amazing support for this deck. Basically what this deck needed, if you ask me, besides some other boss monsters except Gabonga. But then next up, we got two Sploder. I'm only playing two Sploder, and the reason why you really want to run three. Sploder doesn't do anything on its own, but the first Sploder is there to set up the combo turn 0, and then the second Sploder is there to act as follow-up in case your board gets broken, all that. Because Dag is gonna use his effect in opponent's turn, you might search another grand entrance or all that, and then you can search the Sploder, some of the Sploders, bring back something from grave, and you got another XCs on the follow-up. And that's the only reason I play 2, and I believe 2 should be the number to play. Only one Dark Charger. I know this is quite controversial. I know most people play it at 3 and some play it at 2. I only play it at 1, as it's not really a full car combo, unlike Gone Wild. And it's just there to, act as interruption, set up the board, turn 0 really, because this deck is all about getting to set up that huge, powerful board that just has a bunch of different kinds of interruptions. And while controlling the game with hand traps in hand, it's quite hard to beat going second if you let them full combo. And yeah, it's just there. Most of the time you do summon Dag of Sploder in your opponent's turn, so you get another search, and that's quite nice. Here we got one Mean Merciless. Again, this is I just don't see the reason to play more. It doesn't do anything on its own unless you open another Goblin Biker in hand. It's quite useless. It's really good again for that turn 0 setup, as we can detach a material from an Xyz in your turn, and that's really good, especially if you go against other Xyz deck that's absolutely busted. This deck just absolutely wrecks any other Xyz deck. It's amazing. It's really a big counter. And then we got the one Boobmok. Everyone plays one Boobmok. Boobmok is really good. Again, really good interruption. Quick effect in grave or hand. Detach one from Gabonga, really, or an opponent Xyz or other Xyz, whatever, you don't have Gabonga. And that's just great. Triggers Gabonga at any point. And that's it really for all the Goblin Bikers. I feel like this deck is kind of like BA, where you don't really want to open Goblin Bikers in your opening hand. You want to open other non-engine to get into your Goblin Bikers, or this Goblin Biker spells on trap to get into your Goblin Bikers. You don't really want to open the Goblin Bikers themselves. And speaking of that, we got 3 Terratropes. Konami, thank you for giving this card a QCR. Looks absolutely amazing. Terratropes is just crazy for this deck, and the one take a Comborg to go outside it, of course. But yeah, Terratrope is just amazing. Like I said, it does conflict with Gone Wild, but that's fine, as it's just so good It's a 1 card combo, same as MS Store Guide, and just great. And again, thank you Konami for the QCR. This card really deserved the QCR and it looks really beautiful. And next up we got 3 Tour Guide with the superior artwork, if you ask me. But yeah, again, Tour Guide is a full card combo. Normal Tour Guide, it does take your normal summon, unlike Terra Trop, but it prevents you, you know, for Mega losing to Droll. And besides that, it's an even more powerful combo because you're gonna summon Mere Merciless, and that's 1 Goblin Biker out of the deck on the field, and we love to see that. But yeah, really standard right there. There's nothing special about there. And then we got hand traps. We got a bunch of hand traps because, you know, this deck can afford to run so much non-engine, is crazy. We got 3 Ash. Just Ash is like really kind of like the best hand trap around, unless you can Fualos, but yeah, unless you want to draw a bunch of cards with maxi like effects, Ash is really great. And next up, something also really great this format is Ghost Ogre. I've been an advocate of Ghost Ogre for a really long time, and now it's really nice to see that finally people are saying that yeah, the Ghost Ogre is really good now. You know, with all these prominent field spells out there, Ghost Ogre is really good, and not to mention continuous spells. You know, against Azamina, Ghost Ogre is really good. Tempai is really good. It's really good against most of the decks. It can hit Nightmare Throne against Jubel, and it just has a bunch of random other applications, such as like hitting a monster, or you know, you can hit an IP and prevent her from link summoning because it's not gonna be on the board anymore. And that says with a bunch of other monsters like Basso. If your opponent is on Shark and they activate Basso, you don't need to negate that. You chain Ogre, and the Basso cannot check, even if it's targeting itself, it cannot check the level and attribute on the resolution, hence why it cannot summon from deck anymore. And that's a bunch of other implementations with other cards out there. If you know any other cards that lose to Ghost Ogre in such manner, like Basso, Shark, please let me know in the comments. But yeah, let's get into the more hand traps. We got then 3 Imperms, 3 Ash, 3 Ogre, 3 Imperms. I feel like that's a really good standard out there. And yeah, Imperm, self-explanatory. Imperm is a really great card. And amazing even if you draw it for turn. Next up we got 2 Nibiru, just 2. And that's how you will see the reason in a moment. Nibiru is quite a good card right now, really respected. Next up we got 2 Veilers. Again, Veiler is alright, it's not once per turn, which is really great, unlike most of the hand traps like Ogre and Ash. And Nibiru, Veiler is not once per turn as like Imperm, but sadly it can only be used during your opponent's main phase, which is quite annoying, but it's alright. Next up we got a turn skip card like Droll. I feel like if you are able to run Droll and Nibiru, like, you know, so most decks, most decks, Snake Eyes really, can play through an Ash and an Imperm or a Veiler, but yeah, I find it really hard. I find it almost impossible that you see a deck that can play through a Droll and an Nibiru on top of it. Yeah, most decks can do some stuff around Droll to play around Droll and, you know, minimize, you know, the board and stuff, but then they lose to a big fan Nibiru token, and that's just great. You know, if you open Droll and Nibiru, that's most GGs most of the time. But before we get into the spells, if you like the deck so far, please feel free to leave a like and subscribe, because, you know, that's all the channel is about. It's all about rogue decks. We all love rogue decks here. And speaking about people loving rogue decks, click the link down in the description. There you'll see my Discord server, which is filled right now. Thank you all for supporting me. It's filled with a bunch of rogue tier enthusiasts. And, you know, if you want to have some games with other people or discuss the deck building choices or even participate in some events I run, feel free to join the Discord server. I'm gonna wait for you there. And next up for the spice, we got 3 crossouts, which is why we run so many hand traps. If you got Perulias and Foloses, put them in the side so you can cross them out as well. This deck does look to Perulia, and some lines are quite annoying against Perulia. I mean, yeah. This deck does lose to Follows, is what I wanted to say. And some lines really struggle. You're gonna give your opponent a bunch of draws if you got Puruliad. But here's where the 3 crossouts come into play. Same goes for Nib. Why we play 2 Nib is even if you draw a Nib, what are the chances we draw 2 Nibs? Especially in a deck that's slightly over 40 cards. And yeah, that's where the crossouts come into play. You can cross out Imperms or everything you want, really. And it's really there just for the draws and Imperms, which is also for everything else. We got Call by the Grave, which is for everything, really. It's for Shifter. You could maybe experiment with running 1 Shifter yourself. If maybe your locals is full of Shifter decks, you might want to run Shifter to cross out build cross outed. But yeah, just this ratio, 3 cross out, 1 call by. Sadly, we got to the point where I feel like you either play around follows and have a bunch of hand traps, or you play through them, or blah blah blah, or you run cross out and call by. But luckily this deck got so many 1-card combos, it's able to run some Iron Engine. And next up we got, picking out the 1-card combos, we got Grand Entrance, amazing card. Just a really good spell for this deck. A spell that searches and then has the possibility of summon what you search is amazing, and then a graveyard effect is great. To detach is amazing. And next up we got the new spell, the Grand Breakout. Absolutely amazing card for this deck. Allows you to dodge Imperm and Veiler, and that with cross out and call by. It's gonna make it really hard for your opponent to hit you, and that's just great. And yeah, it's just amazing. Ground Breakout's crazy. Also, most people forget about this graveyard effect. It's quite forgettable. It's really nice, and it does win you games out of nowhere. But yeah, it's really there just to Grand Entrance can be a 1-card combo. Really, just summon the Gabonga. No, summon the Ganwa, then you're fine. And yeah, just there, dodges Imperm, gets your body. It's an amazing card for this deck. Thank you, Konami, for printing it. We want more cards like this. This deck now has so many good main deck cards. I feel like we just need a good boss monster, except Gabonga. But yeah, just amazing card. What can I say? It helps you dodge and stuff, and sometimes you might not open good cards. You can normal summon a hand trap and then turn it to a Gone Wild, and that's crazy. That's absolutely insane. Just hope they don't have Ash, or you got cross out or call by. And next up, just the 1 Grand Bash. Some people have been cutting it, and I believe that's really wrong. Because with Gone Wild, you can easily make 6s now, very easily. And you want to turn Gone Wild into a 3 most of the time. And just round up the spells, we got 3 Italy. Amazing card. You might be wondering, wait, Casus, what's the target for Italy? Well, it's Ogre. Fine enough, Ogre, even though it's a ghost sister, is not a zombie for some reason. So you can Italy out because it's just psychic. And that's just some extra synergy right there. Ogre is a really good. Italy turns Ogre into Extender and Interruption. It's a good hand trap. You can Italy if you don't need Italy in your turn, Italy in your opponent's turn, because Ghost Ogre can use her effect on the field as well, and that's just an extra interruption. That's really good. That's really amazing for this deck and 1 games. Absolutely crazy. And just to round up the deck, we got 1 full armor Xyz. Yes, please run the full armor package in this deck, because full armor Lancer and Torpedo are absolutely insane. Torpedo draws you 1, and you can draw into more hand traps and all that. It's crazy, absolutely crazy. And next up, let's get into the extra deck. For the extra deck, we're gonna start off with two big bongas. Pretty standard right there. You're always gonna summon one big bonga on the opening turn, and then the second big bonga is there for the follow-up or the grind game. And now one crazy beast. Against Empire, I really like to make Crazy Beast because it deals with Sangan summoning, and besides that, it protects for Raigekis, Dark Holes, and that's absolutely great for this deck. This deck really struggles to put Spell and Charm Negates, which is really annoying. I would really love to have Omni Negate or Spell and Charm Negate, because the amount of times I got Evil Need and all that is really crazy. Next up, some Secret Sauce. We got one DD Stone King Darius and one Divisor King Deus Machinex. I hope I pronounced that right. This is really to play around Shifter, in case you have Shifter and don't have Callby or Crossout. I mean, Crossout, we don't even have Shifter in the deck. In case you don't got Callby and your opponent Shifters you, and you either open the Mean Merciless and stuff like that, or your Fiends. Mainly Turgide, really. Turgide is gonna get you into it. Normal Turgide, Xyz into King Darius, and then overlay this bad boy on it, and that should be enough to play around Shifter. You got some really nice interruption right there, as this card is not once per turn. And it's really good. Next up, we got the full armor package. Really standard, just one torpedo to turn your trees into the fortress and draw your card, and one lancer. Sadly, this doesn't have a QCR, I believe, but at least it has a prismatic secret rare. That's alright. I really love the full armor package. I think it's insane. It's a really insane engine that is quite underrated, but mainly it just cannot really be played in many decks. It's just mainly Xyz decks, sadly. But where it can get played, it gets a lot of stuff done. Like, it's absolutely insane. This engine is crazy. Being able to Xyz in your opponent's turn, this draws your card. This acts as a really good interruption, and it can be a towers. You get an equip. If you keep the torpedo to an Xyz, it prevents it from being targeted. It protects from destruction. That's absolutely insane, and gives a 2500 attack boost, which is crazy. And then we got one U.R.A. King, a really good card, but most of the time you're gonna make the Cicada King unless your turn is absolutely insane, and then yeah, you can go for a U.R.A. King. But also we do have something to play around Nib, thankfully, and that's Ghost Ship Shadow. Most of the time, if you don't have the cross out, you can go Ship Shadow. If your hand is really good, you can go Ship Shadow and full combo, and that plays around Nib, which is really nice. And just to finish up the Xyz, we got one Zeus, and yes, we did finish up the Xyz because I got something to play around the barrier. I really hate playing these decks that are just full with one type of extra deck monster and just loses to one deep barrier, which is why when we get deep barriered, we got the one IP, which is something happened to my IP. The A, look, what happened to the A? The sleeve must have somehow gotten damaged. I swear that's not how it looks like. I swear. I know it's a bit suspicious, but yeah, it's fine. And yeah, we got just the one IP with the one SP, to go into IPSP when you get the bear going second. It sucks, you got hand traps to prevent your opponent from playing, but if they're able to thrust into a deep bear or just open deep bear, just sucks. And that's what these cards are in for. And next up, just for the last card of the extra deck, we got the one closed Underworld Goddess. It was just a really good card. You can, if you have a bunch of cards on your field, You can easily IP into an underworld goddess to remove on opponent's board, but also, you know, plays around cards that are unaffected, or maybe your monsters don't have enough attack to go over them. Goddess is a really good card, and you know, again, just lets you play quite easily with IP. And just to finish up the deck profile, let's get into the side deck. Again, side decks depend on your locals and all that, but I'll show you mine. I got the one extra draw in case we go against mermaids and stuff like that. So many decks use to draw, and that's why I have the extra draw, so we maximize the chances of doing draw. This is supposed to be Purulia's, but I got bored of waiting for them in the mail. I don't know what's up. It's been a few days. Hopefully they arrive soon. But yeah, in the meantime, I was playing Droplet, which is a really good card going second. You know, lets you play around Desiree and all that. As you can easily chain your cards to Desiree negate, and that's really great. Dark Ruler no more really doesn't do it right now, because they can change spell and traps to the Dark Ruler, and then they can chain Desiree to the Dark Ruler. They can chain Desiree to their traps, and you know, that's quite bad. But then next up we got 2 Trust, and you'll see it in the moment. Not only because I run 2 Lightning Storms to deal with backrow decks, but I also run 2 D barriers. So when we get second, we get Shifted or Purulia, post siding or Fualos and all that, and something bad happens, we can Trust into a D barrier quite easily, and then against most decks that's gonna be able to pass a turn, especially against Tenpai. Tenpai Cold Synchro, they cannot TK you anymore, and you know, it does deal with a bunch of decks right now, especially, you know, Cold Fusion. There's a bunch of fusion based decks out there as a Mina, really, or you can call Synchro for White Forest, or you know, try to see how Yubel is doing without being able to summon Phantom of Yubel. See how they can play around that. And next up, again, for more going first cards, we got 3 Judgments. Deal with those board breakers. Again, there's not an Omni Negate or a Spectrum Negate in this deck, so cards like Judgment going second port side are a must, since you will have to be able to Judgment those Evillies or Dark Holes or Gekis or Droplets or whatever. But it's also good, you know, just Judgment the monster sometimes. And just as more annoyance, we got Anti-Spell Fragments. We don't really play that many spells in our deck, and most of them are quick plays anyway. So, you know, Fragments is really good. And 1 Secret Sauce. Thanks to Rogue Tier for recommending this. We got this rank 3 XC's Thanatos. Battle Cruiser Thanatos. Really crazy card for winning games. It burns your opponent. Just three level 3s, bam, your opponent is burned, time gets cold, and you GG. And you know, that's some secret sauce right there if you want to win in time, guys. Really crazy card. Now, also is really good if you miss lethal, for example. But yeah, with all that being said, I hope you enjoyed all this, and don't forget to like and subscribe again, because you know this channel is all about Rogue Tier, and I'm trying to reach 100k. I wish 100k. I'm trying to reach 1k first. We can talk about 1k later, 100k later, but hopefully we're gonna be able to reach 1k soon, and I'll do a really cool giveaway. And with that all said, Casus signing out.